affects any of those above things that I've just mentioned. So today, this evening, it won't be as long a video as what our previous videos were. We've only got myself and Shaq on today. Brand's had a few other commitments that he's needed to tend to. So it'll just be the two of us discussing the topic for this evening. And it's quite a nice topic. I'm sure quite a lot of people already know about what passive income is, and compound investing or compound interest. But we know that there are quite a few people that don't know what it is, and that's why we thought we'd just have a quick discussion on it. And we work through a bit of an example. I've set up an easy example that sort of explains compound interest. And maybe before we do that, let's what is passive income? Let's go through what passive income is. Shaq, maybe I can just jump to you. What is your idea? A quick explanation of what you think passive income is.
I mean, in the most simplest form, I'd say it's income that you're able to earn with minimal to no sort of effort or active work. If I can put it as simply as possible.
Yeah. I think an easy way to explain it to someone that's, let's say we have to explain it to a 10-year-old, okay, not a 10-year-old, but someone that doesn't necessarily know too much about finance. We have to look at what income is and the different types of income that you get. So you get earned income, active income. So that is essentially income where you have to trade your hours for income. So let's say your job, you trade the amount of hours that you work for your job to get paid, right? And if you're in a business, the amount of hours effort you put into your business, you get paid, and you make an income from that. And you get passive income where your money essentially works for you. I mean, that's the explanation that Shaq gave. That's probably a better explanation of what passive income is. Right? And in order to get financial freedom or to work towards financial freedom, the key, in my opinion, is to sort of move away from the bracket of being an active or earned income person, move away from that category, move towards the passive income category. Right? And there are two ways to do that. Well, not two ways, but two popular ways to do that. You could say that you could do the work and invest method, which is what most of us do. 99% of people around the world will work for somebody or work in their own business, and they'll allocate a portion of their income every single month or every week towards their passive income investments, be it their investment, be it property, be it equities, whatever it is, or an interest-bearing account. Excuse me. And so the first option is the work and invest method, and then the second method is the build and harvest method, right? So what the build and harvest method is, it's where you put a lot of time and effort into creating something. So let's say you are someone that knows how to play the drums, and you decide that you're going to create not a YouTube course, let's say a Udemy course on how to drum, and you teach, and where people can go and download your course and learn how to play the drums. So it'll take a lot of time and effort in actually creating that course. Let's say it's a 10-hour course, it takes a lot of time and effort on your side to create that course. So you've built this course, and then you just leave it on certain learning platforms where people can go in and pay for the course, like Udemy, and you then make money as people buy that course from you, right? So that's the build and harvest way.
I think that's also one of the easier ways in today's day and age, because technology just makes that a lot simpler, right? I mean, your example of the Udemy course is a beautiful example that, I mean, 20 years ago, probably wasn't an option to many people, but technology just gives you access to a lot more information now. It gives you access to a lot more people, direct access to people, which previously it wasn't as easy, right?
No, agreed. And that is what I keep telling a lot of people, a lot of my friends and families, that in today's age, it's actually so much easier to make a passive income than what it was not even 10 years ago, 5 years ago. 5 to 10 years ago, people thought the only way you can make a passive income is by investing in a money market account, as an example, a decent bank savings account and earning interest on it. But I mean, a business, if you have to work very hard in the business, it's not a passive income, it's an earned income. But with the internet, with technology now, there's so many ways you can make money online. There's print on demand, there's affiliate marketing, there's becoming creating a Udemy course or any other course on any other platform. You could be a YouTube. You could be I mean, not that you're going to make a lot of money from YouTube, but YouTube. I guess you could. There are lots of people that are making lots of money from YouTube.
Yeah.
But I mean, the message is that there are so many ways that you could make a passive income in today's times. Right?
I think also sorry, just to add to that, I don't think necessarily the goal is to only be making passive income, right? Or at least I don't think that's the goal for a lot of people, because there is some sort of enjoyment in actively working for an income, especially if you're passionate about what you do, the industry you're in, or the career path you chose. I think a lot of people, actually enjoy putting in those hours and selling their time effectively for an income, right? So I think the trick is to find your balance, right? I know a lot of people who don't want to lift a finger, and if they had the choice to never work a day again in their life, they would take that. I know a lot of people that would, and then you'd be 100% on sort of passive income, right? But then you get to people
Yes.
who obviously have their passions, right? Who able to turn their passions and to monetize those passions and actually earn an income from it, right? So you get those people who probably fit, somewhere within that spectrum of, completely active versus completely passive.
Yeah, no, agreed. I guess, but I think the nice thing of having a decent passive income and a secured passive income is the fact that it provides you that security. For, let's say you're working in a company, you don't know if your job is secure, especially in current times. Your current economic climate. You're not too sure how safe your job is or how safe your business is. If you're someone that owns a business and runs a business, so the passive income does provide you a little bit of extra cover and a little bit of extra security if you have it invested in decent or safe and secure passive income streams.
Yeah.
But today we basically want to talk about, we've mentioned passive income and what it is. The other part of the topic was compound investing and compound interest. So ideally, you'd want to take your earned income and your passive income and invest it in assets and asset classes. Thanks, John Michael. In assets and asset classes that will continue to grow and sort of work for itself as well. So, like the passive income, an example of passive income stream is, as I've mentioned, an interest-bearing account or interest-bearing saving, not necessarily a savings account, interest-bearing investment that yields a certain return, right? So the table that you see on your screen right now, this is just an example of a compound interest investment versus a simple interest investment. So the example I took, if you look at the starting value, I said if you took 100,000 Rand and you decide you want to invest it over 10 years in a compound interest investment account, yielding a return of about 15% per annum. So it's just obviously all hypothetical, but 15% per annum, in your first year, you'll accrue 15,000 Rand for that, right? And then so that means the final value at the end of the first year will be 115,000 Rand. So what compound interest is, or compound investing, let's say compound interest, means that in your second year, you'd be earning 15% on the 115,000 Rand and not the 100,000 Rand. And every year, you then add your interest portion to your new capital value, let's say that, or your new final compound value. By the end of 10 years, you'll end up with at the end of 10 years, you'll end up with 404,000 Rand. So you'd effectively have turned your 100,000 Rand into 404,000 Rand, right? So that's using the compound interest method. If the investment says it's a simple interest investment, meaning that your 15% interest that you earn every single year will only be calculated on your initial capital amount, your initial capital investment. So if you look at column H, the 100,000 Rand, which was your initial capital investment, your 15,000 Rand interest every year will effectively 15% will be calculated on the 100,000 Rand, and it will only be 15,000 Rand that you earn every single year. So after 10 years, you'll end up with 250,000 Rand after 10 years. So that's quite a big difference between the 404,000 Rand and the 250,000 Rand, and that just shows the power of compound investing and compound interest, right? And this is a simple example. You could obviously This is just taking into account the fact that you're only adding your interest to your investment. You're not going above and beyond and adding extra contributions to your investment. Then your amount will go extremely exponential.
Yeah.
Right? So if you just scroll down to the bottom, sorry, John Michael, I just want to look at the graph. Oh, I'm on it. Oh, sorry. Okay, cool. This is just a graph. The blue line shows the final amounts of our investment, the compound interest investment, and the green line is your simple interest investment. So as you can see, it's quite a straight line with the simple interest investment, because it's just the 15,000 rand that you're adding every single year on top of your new capital amount, and you can see that the compound interest investment starts to go. It's not necessarily going exponential, but it's already creating quite a big gap from about year 5. You can see there's about a 25,000 rand difference from year 5 already. So the trick with compound in investing is to start early, because the earlier you start, the better. That after a few years, you start to really see the benefit of compound investing and compound interest. Shaq, I don't know. I mean, on your side, is it 20 something? What did you want to start? What do you want to add?
Yeah, look, I think that's spot on, right? And I think that the biggest skill to have as a compound investor is patience, right? Because as you see with that graph, you see how the compound and the simple interest graphs diverge as time goes on, right? And the longer your money sits and the interest is compounding, that growth rate starts to accelerate with time, right? So I think that's probably if there's any takeaway from these two graphs is patience, right? It's having that ability to put your money away, not pull it out, and let that interest keep compounding over a significant amount of time, right? So it's not for anyone who's looking to make a quick buck and become an overnight millionaire, right? Compound interest is not going to get you there. The magic of compound interest lies in a longer time horizon.
No, definitely spot on. Yes, it definitely lies in a longer time horizon. And the nice thing this is a simple example, but if you were making additional contributions to this investment as well, then your interest calculated in interest return will be higher, and you'd see this blue line start to really go exponential at a shorter period, within a shorter period, and then just the 5 years. For example, if you were someone that invests in shares, right? You decide, fine, you bought a few shares in a company that pays dividends quarterly. You could then reinvest those dividends every single quarter, and that's basically compound investing, right? You've invested in an asset that's giving you a return, and you're just reinvesting the return from that asset whenever it does yield a return. That's the approach to compound investing. If you decide to be a simple investor, you just take those dividends and you'd cash it out and buy whatever you want to buy with it, buy some luxuries with it, right? Shaq, I want to ask you a question though.
Sorry, just before we get that, there's a really interesting question in the comment section that I just looked at from Yumnan. How does investments provide passive income? And I think for someone, or for viewers who aren't financially sort of literate, or not exposed to these kind of assets on a day-to-day basis, how does an investment actually provide you passive income, right? You obviously have your dividend paying shares, right, which you just mentioned, right? So there's two ways you can earn income from a share, right? You can either earn income from it via capital appreciation, right? But that income will only ever be realized when you sell the share, right? So if you buy the share for 10 Rand, a week from now, the share is trading at 15 Rand, and you choose to sell at that point. And it's only when you click the sell button do you actually make the 5 Rand sort of profit, right? And then the second way you can generate income from a share is through dividend payouts, right? And not all companies pay out dividends, but the ones that do will declare a dividend once or twice a year, right? And you will actually, without having to sell that share, you will still be receiving some inflow of cash, right? Or income from your share, right? So on just a very practical level, I think that's quite it's a simple question, but I think it's a really important question to answer. Like, how does these assets actually pay you income? I mean, another example is real estate, right? If you own a property and you then rent that property out every month, that tenant pays you rent. That's your asset that you have bought and own. That's now bringing you income without you actually having to sell that asset. So it's important to to clearly differentiate between selling the actual asset for income and then actually having the asset generate income without you selling.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you sell the asset, it's basically your capital return, right? That's your capital, the extra income that it makes on a monthly basis with regards to a property. That would be the passive income. And shares, whether dividends paid out half yearly or quarterly or annually, that's your passive income, return on the shares. With shares, I guess the fact that with property and shares, the fact that it grows in capital value, that's also could be deemed a passive income. But all assets have its own risk. I mean, property won't necessarily go down, but it's possible. Shares, it's a bit riskier because the share price can fluctuate, right? And then there are multiple other options to go. But I mean, shares and property are probably the most popular passive income streams used by most people. Shaq, sorry, I wanted to ask you a question as well. As a 26-year-old right now, how are you planning to invest, or how are you investing or contributing towards assets that are bringing you a passive income or that will potentially bring you a passive income? I know do you budget a certain amount every single month, or how do you work? Do you take a look at your expenses? What do you do?
Look, so I mean, in your example, right, that where we spoke about compound and simple interest, you have that starting value of 100,000 in both circumstances, right? So I think that's a good starting point, and that's sort of how I think about it and approach it is, okay, what's my starting capital, and how do I actually accumulate that starting capital, right? Because unless you're born into wealth, you're starting off a relatively zero base. You first need to get to, a certain capital amount, right?
Yeah.
Before you can
which
even
which is where 99% of the population are, right?
Exactly, right. So we can answer all the questions as to what to invest in to get passive income, but if you don't have capital to actually invest, I mean, it's a futile discussion, right? So it's first about getting that capital, right? And that capital that you actually have to invest is basically your income less your expenses, right? Whatever you have left over, that's what's available to you to sort of play around, right? And there's a multitude of way of getting that, right? You can either increase your income, right? So you can diversify your revenue streams, you can do side hustles, you have your permanent job, whatever it may be, right? That's probably the more difficult one. The easier one and probably a quicker solution is reducing expenses, right? So reduction in expenses will free up, otherwise spent capital. You now retain that and you're able to deploy that and sort of invest, right? I think as a 20-year-old,
26-year-old.
I'm trying to generalize for 20-year-olds or for those in their 20s, right? So you could find yourself either still in university. That means you more likely than not either don't have an income, or you're doing part-time jobs and you've got a little cash, right, which you can then spend. Or you could be, a young professional, you're in a relatively well-paying job, and then you have more, capital to deploy. So I think the answer to what a 20-year-old or someone in their 20s would do also depends on sort of where they find themselves in terms of how much starting capital they actually have, right? If you don't have a lot of capital, I see a lot of people in their 20s going into the content creation, right? You've got TikTok now, which is, one of the biggest social medias now. They're creating content and they actually get paid for creating those content. You got marketing affiliation where, companies want to associate their brands with someone with a big following, right? And that is a form of passive income, right? All they need to do is put the logo on their videos or on their content, and they're actually earning. If you have
But
more,
is that sorry that you touched on it? Is that really passive income though? So sure, it's. I mean, they've got affiliate marketing. I mean, they're putting their logo on your content, but you actually have to create content. So it could be justified as earned income as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel it leans more to the passive, but I get your point, right? You need to actually create the content. And I think the income that you earn directly from creating that content would 100% be active income, right? You're actually spending time to generate the income. But the passive income is getting generated, simply because
even after so that falls into that build and harvest, that build and harvest method of creating passive income.
Exactly, right. So cool. even if you stop generating, musicians, know this especially well. I mean, you can stop making music, but your music is still, every time someone listens to your song, you earning royalties, right? That's passive income that will, as long as that music is out there and you own the rights to it, you'll always get that inflow. If you're someone in your 20s who's maybe a young professional, you've got a bit more capital, right? You're now starting to look at stocks. You're looking at buying shares. I think now it's a lot easier to have access to that market, right? I remember when I was still studying, it wasn't as easy.
You had to go to a broker. You had to go through a broker to buy shares, right?
Now you can download an app. The KYC processes are a lot easier, a lot more streamlined. It's not as complicated as it used to be. They've cut away the fat in terms of just the process, right? So I think now that's sort of a market that's opened up for millennials, right? Which we saw heavily through the pandemic with Robinhood, for example, right? Millennials are now becoming traders. It's easy to go on YouTube, Google how to read charts or how to understand, and there's this massive
and
amount of information.
Your dividends gets paid directly into your account on these apps, right? So it's definitely an easier way.
So that's sort of the thinking as well now. If you've got a bit more capital, right, you're now going into shares, you're going into bonds. You might look to buy a property and rent that property out, earning rental income.
Oh no, I think we've just lost Shaq. Okay, I think he was mentioning that as you get older, you start to look at other investment opportunities as well. So you start to get into property, you start to look at bonds and like the equities as well. But I think the important message, look, we're not gonna sit too long on this, but the important message is just to start early. Try and get into different passive income streams as early as you can, especially when you're in your 20s. Okay, Shaq's back. Especially when you're in your 20s. No worries. Especially when you're in your 20s, that's the time when you build for the rest of your life, right? I mean, don't make the mistake that 99% of people make, including myself, where you enjoy your 20s a bit too much. You need to always save for a rainy day, and this is not necessarily saving. Invest for a rainy day, and the rainy days are from your 30s up until you retire. You should look at that as being your rainy days, because you're really going to start enjoying your life if you've from your mid 30s, if you started investing early in your 20s already. You'll be way ahead of the rest of all your friends as well if you started early. Shaq, sorry, I sort of took on from where you left off. I'm not too sure if you still wanted to say anything else that you didn't get to say.
No, I think that's about it, right? You need to weigh up how much capital you have. You need to start thinking about how do I actually gain access to capital if you don't already have, right? We spoke about increasing your income or decreasing your expenses. And then you need to take whatever capital. And the nice thing is, and probably one additional point is, there's this misconception that you need hundreds of thousands of rands to start investing, right? And I see a lot of people my age, with this thinking of, oh, I don't have enough money to invest, right? You can start with as little as 100 rand, and that's thanks to the ease of access to these platforms,
Yeah, look, okay, Shaq's probably got a bad line, and I think you need to just start. Even if you only want to start with a 50 Rand, start, because of the power of exponential growth and compound investing. If you start with a 50 Rand, a year from now, that monthly 50 Rand contribution that you've decided to give it's going to be worth a lot more, right? And then your income starts to grow, just be it a salary or be it your side hustles. As those incomes start to grow, your contribution starts to grow as well. But always make sure that you cut your expenses, or your unnecessary expenses. You reduce that by as much as you can, and you make sure that you're disciplined in the amounts that you contribute every single month, and you're disciplined in contributing more every single month or every week or every day if that's what you want to do. But you're disciplined, and you start early, right? And when your income grows, make sure that you start to invest a bit more. I think we can actually end it off there. It's a nice short video. We've lost Shaq. It's okay. I'm sure he got his message across. There are multiple ways. I mean, maybe what I'll do is I'll put a few links into the description below, where we later, that maybe links to certain apps that you could use to invest, and maybe certain options that you could use as side hustles as well to make an extra income. But that should be it for today. Thanks for joining us. I know it was a short video. Maybe I can just look to see if there are any other questions. Taz Desai asked if I'm spending a lot of time doing research on my investment portfolio, would that make it more of an active income stream? Well, Taz, I guess in the beginning it forms part of that build and harvest as well, in my opinion, because you're putting a lot of effort and time into doing the research, but your passive income after that will be constant. So it's definitely a passive income, but it's a build and harvest method of passive income. So because with any passive income, I think most passive income, it always takes some effort. Any sort of income always takes some effort, be it in the beginning, and then there's less effort after that. But overall, I think it's everything takes an effort, right? Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks for joining us. I don't think there are any other questions. It's a nice comment from Jerome Vessels that says you cannot rely on a single income stream. Passive income allows one to complement your salary. That's spot on. Spot on. I think we can end it with that. That's a really good comment. Thanks, Jerome Vessels. Cool. Thanks very much. Have a good evening.